So I usually have you visualize this. So I want you to think of this, everyone paying attention. Then we can use this for your visualizations, or just if you're tweaking in your office, tweaking in the car, tweaking when you're trying to get your baby to sleep and they won't go to sleep. And you're like, I'm about to murder them. What would your person that you look up to say? So if you could, comment on Spotify or YouTube.
There you go.
All right.
All right. Let's jump into the next scene.
Lenore.
Yes. So, backstory, if you haven't watched Karate Kids, all of them are, by the way, are on Netflix at this moment. So at the end of Karate Kid 1, Johnny Lawrence loses to Russo with the famous crane kick.
And fuck is a swan?
I don't know. What do you mean? What is a swan?
Motherfucker knows his birds. The famous pigeon kick.
Yeah, you should be. That's the only bird you fucking know. I didn't know what a crane was, jackass.
I don't know what a crane is. I don't know.
Anyways, so Johnny loses, and then at the beginning of the second part, Johnny and Kreese, who is his mentor and sensei, is actually like beating him up because he got second place, and Johnny's like, "What? Well, I tried my best," and Kreese is just like not happy with it because he wants the best from Cobra Kai. There it is. And so Kreese, and then Mr. Miyagi steps in, saves Johnny's life pretty much because he was going to beat the hell out of him.
Yeah, he's choking him out.
Yeah. And so he saved him, and that's the end of Johnny. Like, we don't see him until Cobra Kai, where we see that Johnny is living in a shitty apartment, drinking heavily, and pretty much is just done with like living in general, just done living what life is, right? He's on the bare minimum of what like kind of like what life is, and he's put himself in that position because he doesn't see himself as anything more than
trash,
what his coach at the end of, or at the beginning of part 2 told him he was, which was nothing, right? And so cut to the last season of Cobra Kai, where Johnny and Kreese finally have just this moment where Johnny tells Kreese like what he did to him and how much that all meant to him and how he loved him so much. And once again, we have like this person who doesn't have a father figure in his life, but who did at one point, and then just he threw him away like he was trash. And that affected his whole life. That changed his outcome of life. He was supposed to be going to college. He was supposed to be doing all this great stuff. And now he's just, once again, not living life to its fullest. And so we have this scene where they hug it out finally, right? It's not only that they're hugging it out, but Johnny finally tells him exactly how he felt and what was the turning point of his life, to the person that he looked up to. I don't think that all the time we get this opportunity in real life to where we can tell the people that meant so much to us, that might have thrown us away or betrayed us in some way, and how we felt and how that changed our lives from the most part. But I think this was a great scene to see. Closure, right? Closure between the two. Even though Kreese is like this basket case
piece of
who
shit,
just manipulates everything.
Mm-hmm.
He even took Johnny's son and brought him into his dojo and started teaching him stuff and tried to be a father figure to him also. It's messed up. Yep. It's messed up, right? So there's a lot of history between the two and between these seasons. But at the end of the day, it was great to see that kind of closure, and then also relating back to like that part 2 of Karate Kid also. But
what you see in the last few episodes of the season 6, the final season and final finale, is like he's saying he's a piece of shit, Kreese. He's realizing it because he accidentally gets this other kid murdered at the end of the mid-season end.
Like part 2, right?
Yeah, episode 6, 10, something like that. Yeah. So he gets this kid murdered, and he's like, I'm a piece of shit, this and that. He's realizing that he's done a lot of horrible things. I'm like, yeah, now when you're 80, you realize it when you're 80.
He also realized it through like 6 seasons of shittiness.
I know, 6 seasons. We're talking like 40 years of shit. And before that, in the military, he was a horrible guy killing his own guys.
Well, to be like, that was iffy because his commander was also like a piece of shit, and then that's what really brought him down when he had to like throw him in a snake pit.
Yeah,
there's a lot that goes on.
There's a lot.
Show.
White people are doing some crazy shit.
Yeah. They're like, Vietnamese keep on trying to make us do karate and shit. Like, what the fuck?
So we get to this scene. This is one of the best scenes in the entire fucking franchise for me, because it's so poignant on how the parent figure, the parent dynamic, the father figure is so important in a child's life. Mother figure too, but specifically we're talking about the father right now. Any of my kids that come to me, they got some type of parent wound. Usually there's a parent wound when they're having trouble with their relationships. There's always something, right? And how did they trust themselves? How did they trust others? It was never role modeled for them. They never saw what healthy, good love or connection, intimacy, emotional regulation looked like. They never saw that. They see the anger, betrayal, hostility, violence. And so you get this narcissistic, psychopathic teacher who molds this kid narcissistically and says, you're everything because of me. You're nothing without me, right? He'll gas you up and love bomb you and then shit on you when you do horrible. A lot of emotional abuse. So that's what he does to all his students that he does with Kreese. Johnny Lawrence doesn't do that with his kids. He does his real best to like be a good person, but he has a hard time articulating it, showing it, being vulnerable because he's scared. And in this moment, he tells his father figure, as I loved you, I trusted you. And then he starts tearing up. And what did you do? You threw me away like trash. You beat me in public. Not only did you dislike me, but you told me I was worthless. And you literally beat me in public. And he said, I trusted no one after that. Why would you trust? If someone that's supposed to love you the most throws you away or betrays you or traumatizes you, your ability to trust anyone goes out the door, Spence. You know how many trauma victims I work with, like horrendous shit? Changes them forever. How are you supposed to know if this is a good person or not? Because your dad, your mom, your auntie, your uncle, this other person in your family, they broke you. And so now your ability to know who's safe and who's not safe is polluted because you've realized even the people that treat you the best could also horrendously hurt you. It's a horrible place to be in life. So then you don't get second guess yourself. Then you never trust yourself. And you're always hyper vigilant to every relationship you're ever in. So what do? You fuck them all up and you make sure no one gets too close. You do the same thing that Wolverine that we talked about in last week's episode. Push everyone away. You'll never be hurt. And then again, you're never going to have any real love or joy, intimacy. What is he going to do like Wolverine? He's going to drink himself to death, Johnny Lawrence. Drinks and drinks and drinks. Aggressive, angry, beating up people. The scene we didn't show is when he's at his mother's grave and he's getting ready to go to prison. And he said, I fucked everything up. I'm sorry. I'm probably not going to see you for a while because I'm going to prison. And then like, a bunch of stuff happens and he starts teaching again. It sounded like he was going to commit suicide. And so this is the closure that all my clients want, Spence, and most of them will never get. Because either that parent or guardian will die, they've completely cut them off, or my students just don't have the swag to say it. And so, to be honest, sometimes I don't want them to say it to that person because I don't know if that other person is going to hurt them more.
Okay.
So how does therapy work and help this? Therapy is a place where we can bond and make this connection, right? Like we're homies, but we're not homies because you're paying me. But I try to get you most comfortable with me so that we can build on this relationship, intimacy, emotions, and then we can go replicate it outside in the real world. Therapy isn't just about talking you out of the crazy shit that you believe in your head. Sometimes it's just role modeling that you can have healthy human contact and them not want anything from you. And then we make sure that you can do it in the public sector, making sure that we're checking in on your anxieties, making sure you're not too attached, too needy, too avoidant. Right? That's what therapy helps you do. It helps you rebuild your trust in humanity after someone hurt you in a bunch of ways I'm not going to say. So there's no reason to be visual, but hurt you in a bunch of ways. So this is a magnificent scene of the pain that even a man, and many men hold, of how fucked up we are, and we can't love because either we weren't taught or we were and it was stripped. One story and I'll be done. This little girlie makes me smile all the time. She's a grown-ass woman. But when I talk to her, she's just like a little kid. And I see it every once in a while when we talk about certain things with some of my women that I work with.
Hey, thanks for watching this video. Check out the full episode on our channel and anywhere you find podcasts. Also, remember to like and subscribe. Whoop whoop.